Oh, how great is ball? How great is summer camp? And how great is Jill Savage? I'm Yogi Roth. This is the How Great is Ball Training Camp Tour. You can listen to it on Sirius XM College Sports or, of course, wherever you listen to podcasts on the Yogi Roth Show as we bounce around the Pac-12 Conference. Today, we're in summer camp. We're at Camp T, Camp Tontozona. Jill, have you been to Camp T before?
This is my first time, and having lived in Oregon, it feels much more like Oregon than Arizona up here with all the trees, beautiful weather, summer camp. I mean, it just instills those memories of they are literally hanging out around a campfire at night. They have the bunks out here. It's awesome to be here. Just a great setting and a brand new, beautiful field that they have here this year.
Yeah, we came here. We did the drive on the Pac-12 Networks a couple of years ago at Arizona State, and we camped out here as well for a couple of days. And, Mike Yam, he went through Will Sutton's room. We've all kind of checked it out. You go on this big hike. They call it Mount Cush. You kind of plant the flag. You jump off the Tillman Rock into a pseudo lake. It really is. I think it's the best setting that I've seen in football for a training camp.
I want to come hang out here for a week. I want to go hang out in the bunks. This is a perfect setting to get away from it all, because this is what camp is all about. Yeah. Getting to know who you're going to be next to, right? And that's what some of the guys are saying. They love that they get to know their teammates a little bit more, that they go on walks, that they do these activities together. And it's an exciting time because, yes, it is all about football, but it's cool to get to know everybody and on a different level. All
right, so speaking of getting to know people on a different level, this program in Arizona State, they lose Manny Wilkins, who we all know really well. N'Keal Harry, we all knew really well. And they're big-time playmakers, big part of this team. But I'm curious for you, what did you recognize? You just watched practice. Clearly some pseudo-newcomers, but also some vets that may not be household names.
Right, the offensive line, you look at it, and it could potentially be 5 seniors out there if they are the ones that do indeed start. And they don't have a lot of starts combined. Everybody knows Cole, but after that, there will be some new names that people will get accustomed to seeing. But the depth, I think, is the thing that stood out to me. And it's real at a lot of positions. And as you go through a season, that's what you're going to need to be successful, right? They were in so many close games last year. So many people got great experiences, and they're bringing in freshmen that are going to do terrific things this year. I think the depth and the newcomers is really what stood out to me today.
Yeah, I mean, they started 5 true freshmen on defense last year. They're going to play a bunch more. I think what I liked the most and what I saw today was Coach Edwards, his actions back up how he recruits in terms of you're going to come and the best guy's going to play. So whether that's Jayden Daniels, who I think we could project to be the starting quarterback, based at least on what we saw today. He hasn't been named anything, but to me, he put on a clinic in what we saw. But even the secondary, receivers, tight end, Nolan Matthews, I mean, they've got young guys that they're running with the one. They're getting the opportunity to prove that they can play or prove that they can't. And I think that is one of the coolest things that head coaches can do, and Coach Edwards clearly has been doing that.
That's all you want as a player, I think, when you're coming into a program. Do I have a real opportunity to prove myself? Or is the guy that's a senior, is he automatically going to get the spot because he's been around the program? And with Herm, he says this in recruiting. Hey, we sell. You guys come in, you'll have a chance to compete. Look at the roster. Look at who's ahead of you. You want to come out here? You want to compete with them? You want a starting spot? All right. You have that opportunity. And it's real because you see it here in person.
Yeah. We know what else is real, I think, is the interviews that we had today. Because not only did we get to talk to Coach Edwards, you're about to hear from him. Also Hall of Famer Kevin Mawae. He's a rock star. Quarterback Jayden Daniels. See what happens if he gets named the starter here shortly or if some other guys make comebacks. And even Brandon Aiyuk and Darien Butler, starting linebacker. I mean, he's a dude. He may not be a household name at linebacker like some of the guys around the conference, but if you watch the tape, this guy's real. So, Joe, we're going to get out of the way and kick it over to Herm Edwards right here from Camp T in the rustic setting, and we'll make sure that either one of us get bit by any mosquitoes or anything like that. All right, we're getting out of the way. Here he is. All right, Camp T with Coach Herm Edwards. Coach, first time you've been here for a practice this year.
Exactly.
Last year you guys came to walk up Mount Cush, I heard.
Yes.
What's it been like for you to get here?
Well, I think the first practice we had, I walked on the field and I looked up and kind of saluted Coach Cush because it was his vision of bringing his football teams up here, obviously, out of the heat, getting some elevation. Back then it was double days, obviously. And it's been a tradition. Look, the man recruited me. And I like certain traditions, and I think this is a great tradition to have. And so when I walked out on the field, I saluted him. I said, if he had this field right now, he'd be going, man. He was picking up rocks and boulders and stuff, and it's a marvelous place. And I think the people up here too have really drawn accustomed to coming to practices. I think tomorrow you'll see a bit more than today, and then obviously Saturday they anticipate 2,500, 3,000 people. I don't know where they're sitting. That's what I keep trying to. I keep looking up at these rocks and I'm going, where are they going to sit?
This treehouse.
Yeah, it's all good.
I want to ask you. You have a young team. Obviously, played a bunch of young guys last year.
Yep.
You're going to play somebody who's never played quarterback necessarily as a big time starter in college football. But I feel like with your reverence for the game, guys that maybe around the country generalizes they don't revere the game as well. I feel like with you, though, they probably just reflect it. Have you noticed that even coming to a place like this?
Well, I think they understand the importance of making the game better. And it's not about any of us. It's really about the game and how we make it better for the next generation to follow us. I was caught into that when I got into pro football. I always reflect back on the guys in the late 60s and in the 50s. That obviously moved the game forward. I was part of that. And then when you get into coaching, it's the same thing. You do it on the coaching ranks and you do it as a player. And I think these players understand it. I'm real big on, and it's kind of funny, going to the Hall of Fame, I had 3 players go in. And the thing that they all said, and you don't realize that when you're coaching, Coach, let me be myself. Now, you say that as a coach, and you wonder, are they listening? Well, those 3 guys had yellow jackets on. Gold jackets, excuse me, and they were listening. And I think these kids understand. You can be yourself. But it can't be bigger than the team, and it can't be bigger than football. And I think if you watch our team, their personalities, I say, be who you are. But just understand this. And they get that part. They never kind of go over there because they know if we go over there, Coach is going to say you can't do that. So that's the fun part for me. They're starting to figure that out.
That was the best line I heard from Kevin Mawae, outside of representing his family. But when he said, you could be yourself without being a detriment to the team, I said, whoa, that's such a big-time thought for such personalities now. These kids are brands. They've got followings. They have
no doubt.
That's amazing. So speaking of those, Jayden Daniels, his numbers are crazy. Yeah. I only had a glimpse of practice, Coach. It was one practice.
Yeah.
But I saw him work, the hashes, the middle field, stuff that seniors do. Yeah. Not with ease, but with authority. Yeah. How's he been in camp?
Well, he's been good, and all 3 of them have been good. I mean, Joey has really, really, from spring to right now, he's a clone of and his guy that he looks at and has gone to his camps is Peyton Manning. Right. And so the one thing you know about Peyton Manning, student of the game, and Joey's that. I mean, he gets it, and his look compared to how he looked in the spring, he's lost 20 pounds. And he feels comfortable now, and he's got some things that personal things right now that are heavy, and his ability to still come out there and practice and do what he's done, I think he already had respect from his teammates, but it goes way up here now, for all of us. So, I mean, he's really, really improved from the spring to right now. And Jayden, Jayden's Jayden. I mean, it's just, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, when he throws the ball, I tell the defense, I said, hey, you give him a little window, guys, he's going to fit it in there. So you better figure this thing out. And they know it. It was like that was the first. Well, he's thrown 2 interceptions, I think, and both of them have been tipped since he's been here. So he threw one again today, and I told him, I looked at him, he says, Coach, it was tipped. I said, throw the ball better. Because that's kind of our deal. I said, just throw the ball better, man. And I'm like, I got to say something to the guy.
I love that. Can you just give us some insight? I think as head coaches, you don't get Especially, probably at every level, you don't get a chance to name a quarterback very often.
Right.
A couple times maybe in your tenure if you're lucky.
You're right. And, the problem is sometimes you don't have one to name. You play with 4 or 5 of them, and when you do that, I go back to working at ESPN.
Come hang with us if you want. But what is that? What's that like for a competitor, for the leader?
Well, I think you turn the team over to him, and everybody knows it. And that's why the quarterback position is so unique in sports, because if you're a fan, I think you say, well, he's an offensive player. No. The quarterback, he affects everybody. The quarterback is tied to the head coach. You're tied together, and you know that. And it's just you almost gotta think alike. You gotta when I was in New York when I had Chad, and I had Vinny first, and I had Chad. I mean, there was no doubt. I mean, I would go to a press conference and talk, and he would follow up. He would say in his words, basically, almost exactly what I was saying. And you got to be on the same page. And I told all these quarterbacks, I said, one thing you got to realize, we got to be hooked to the hip. And when we say things, it's got to match up. It always has to match up. And at the end, we got to take the blame when it's not good. It starts with me. And you're part of it too. I'll protect you, but that's how it works, and no one else is involved in that. When we get the losses, we get a loss, we got to do better. I got to do better, and they get that.
I love that. All right, there's a lot I can talk to you about, but I want to get you out on your position group of where you played.
Oh boy,
because I've been around this team for about 15 years now, and the depth and the body type of not just the returning guys. I mean, you got 3-year starters presumptually at corner.
Yeah.
And you got a baller in Ashari Crosswell. You got depth. But the young group, Coach, this DB class
is very good, very athletic, and it's kind of funny, it's teasing AP. I said, we got a whole secondary of jackrabbits.
Long Beach, yeah.
I said, what are we doing? and they're athletic now, and they're long, and they can run, boy. We got a lot of kids back there, and it's going to be. And that's what we're not struggling, but we're trying to figure out what are we going to be back there? Because we played with 5 of them, and you go, okay, what are we going to be? I know what I want to be, but can we do it? And if we can do it, then you got a chance to be really good, So it's kind of interesting to see what happens.
I love it. We wish you the best. Are you going to jump off Tillman's Rock?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I got a knee. I'm good. I walked up there last year. I paid my dues.
All right. Well, good luck. We'll be there week 1. Can't wait, Coach.
Good seeing you guys.
Love that conversation with Coach Herm Edwards. And I love conversations in general, and that's why I love the partner of this podcast, Kona Red Coffee. KonaRed.com if you're not familiar with this coffee company. They source some of the rarest, most sought-after coffee on planet Earth, and it's grown in the volcanic mountain slopes of Hawaii. And I say I'm a fan of it because anytime there's a good conversation, I think coffee is a catalyst to that. That's why every morning I kick it off with a cup of Kona Red, and you can either get a cup from their premium coffee beans, cold brew coffee, Hawaiian Cascara juice. Yes, they even have a juice. Whatever you want, they got it. Check them out at KonaRed.com, or if you want to go in person, Vaughn's, Albertsons, Pavilions, Ralph's, Bristol Farms, Sprouts, and many more. Kona Red is everywhere you can find it. And I think, we need to get some Kona Red right here to Camp T. Not for the players. They're jacked up. But for the coaches, maybe potentially. A little coffee, definitely support staff. We're going to have to send some here to Arizona State. Speaking of Arizona State, let's get right back to the conversation with this football team from Camp Tontozona. All right, here we are back at Camp T, and there's a lot of talent out here, but I don't know if anybody's as talented as our next guest. Kevin Mawae, Hall of Famer. Coach, congratulations on what an incredible honor for you and your family.
Thank you so much, man. Last week was a whirlwind. It's I've come off cloud 9. Now that you're here at camp, you're like, oh man, we're back at camp now. But you can't stop smiling about it, and the opportunity that we had to be there and to be recognized as one of the best to ever play the game is pretty special. And yeah, man, it's cool stuff.
I loved some of the anecdotes that you talked about, when you didn't play in a game and you were like, okay, now I'm going to make sure I'm prepared for every game and I will play, and if I'm on a bus, I'll be on the grass. Your speech, you killed it. You're not doing TV, but what was the preparation like for that?
I had an opportunity and I turned it down.
I believe it.
But, it's just, my speech, I started it probably back in April. I finished about 3/4 of it by the end of the month. And in May, I sat on it for a while. Finally came back in May and finished it up. Sent it in, have somebody look at it. We pulled some stuff out. I added some things to it. But the whole thing, from the time I got elected until the time I got inducted, all I can think about was the journey that I had. And that's what the theme of my deal. This is what my journey looked like. And the journey encompassed so many people in my life. And that's the people I talked about, particularly my parents, my family, but and all my teammates. And I was really glad that I got to recognize my teammates, because they're, without them, none of it's possible.
Yeah, one of the greatest lines, and Coach Edwards just talked about it, of he's trying to make sure his players can be themselves. And you said him specifically allowed you to be your personality as long as it wasn't to the detriment of the team.
Yeah.
How do you think that theory lands on players now? We went back and forth on guys are coming into hot air balloons now in training camp, and kids are seeing that on
That's a whole different
Hard
level,
Knocks.
man. To me, that's stupidity. But that's bringing attention to yourself. There's another thing. There's having your own personality and playing and operating on your team within your personality. There's a whole different thing about bringing attention to yourself. And so what Herm always did is, like, you be you. Just be you. We're not asking you to conform to what I want you to be. I want you to conform to the culture that we're trying to create within your personality. And, like, we got a kid out here, Frank Darby, is the most outrageous kid there is. And he's funny and he's hilarious. And we don't try to stifle that. But he doesn't do it to the detriment of the team, and he doesn't disrespect the game. And so there's a difference when you disrespect the game and you disrespect your teammates by how you handle stuff versus just being you. And Herm was like that. Herm, he's a DB at heart. I sat in the weight room 2 weeks ago before I went to the Hall of Fame, and he's on the treadmill, and he's 2 hours straight riding guys, running his mouth. I looked at him and said, "You're 63 years old, and you're still a DB. Totally. You sound like a DB out on the practice field, just won't stop." But that's who he is. Right. But when it comes time to get ready for football, you don't let it detract from what you're trying to accomplish in the vision and the culture of the team.
I can't imagine if I was, like, back in the University of Pittsburgh in training camp, or if you were at LSU and somebody who was on the staff rolled into practice with a Hall of Fame jacket on, like, what that would have been like. What has it been like since that?
Yeah, it didn't even dawn on me, like, because I caught flack on Twitter about the guys coming in the Brinks truck and coming in a hot air balloon. The hot air balloon is the dumbest thing, because here's why: your miscalculation could put you off 300 yards away from the team. Or something like that. And then the Brinks truck rolls up, and there's nobody outside the stadium waiting for you. It's just the guy in the microphone, and you come out of the back of the truck. Whatever.
Cool. Yeah.
But there's no other guy that came out here with a Hall of Fame jacket on. And I might catch flack for it next year when I'm at the Hall of Fame and with all the old guys. But, it's funny, because I was on the radio with Rich Eisen right before I did that. He goes, "What are you doing right now?" I said, "Well, I'm holding up walkthrough, and I'm going to walk down to practice with my Hall of Fame jacket on." He goes, "No, you're not." I said, "I promise you I am." And he said, so I sent him pictures. And I did. I stood up on the hill, and some of the guys from across the way saw me, and "Hey, Coach Mawae." But the coolest thing is that you come out here, and the guys respect you because of what you did, which means they honor the game. But they also know I'm one of them. To come in and get a big hug from Cole Cabral and Steve Miller, two of our seniors on the offensive line, it's a relational game, and you can't play this game without relationships. And I alluded to in my speech to one of my coaches that he taught me that it's not about the coaching, it's about the relationships. And when your players know you love them, they're going to execute for you, and they're going to go out there and do their best for you. And so to get that reception on the field, just something overcame me, and I got a chance to share a message with those guys. But hopefully it's just a little bit of motivation for these guys to take the next step for where we need to be going.
Yeah, easily the best speech I've seen of anyone in training camp, and one of the best I've ever seen in my career. And
I didn't know this was planned. I had no idea it was being filmed, and it wasn't planned either. It's just literally I was driving to camp on Tuesday morning, and I was just thinking about my weekend and just about all the great players I got to be around and got to see. And really, God put it in my heart. Everybody's got greatness in them. And if they just let a little bit out each time, each day, every time they give a little effort, then it makes other people around them great. And that was kind of my message. Just let a little bit of greatness pour out every day, and eventually we're all going to be great. We're going to be sitting where we want to be.
I love that. Just to turn the page to your offensive line a minute. 54 combined starts, 25 of them are by Cole Cabral, you just referenced.
Yep.
But all potentially seniors, 4 fifth-year seniors, 1 regular senior.
Not all potentially. They all are.
Yeah. Well, if they start, I guess. I don't want to name the starters. But if those guys that we saw today are your starters, that's like the secret sauce that isn't being talked about around this program.
We hope so.
Yeah.
And it's known that we have 3 young quarterbacks. The worst combination you have is a young quarterback and a young group of offensive linemen. And so somewhere along there's got to be a give and take. But when you have 6 seniors, that are going to potentially be starters that have seen everything they can possibly see over the course of 4 or 5 years, then it takes the pressure off your quarterback. You just hand the ball off and throw it to the guy you're supposed to throw. We'll take care of everything else. And it'd be like to me playing when we drafted Chad Pennington back in 2000. You're a young quarterback. We're going to take the pressure off you. Let me handle everything else. Or in Tennessee, when I was at the end of my career and we had some guys that had already started, I'm a 14-year vet, and we draft Vince Young. Your job is just get the ball to the playmakers. My job is to make sure you're clean and you're standing upright at the end of the day.
I love that. All right, before we cut it loose, what are you most looking forward to now? I mean, you've hit a pinnacle, presumptuously, in football. And now here you are back with the fellas in Camp T, one of the most iconic places and rustic places in college football.
Rustic's putting it lightly. I might be more comfortable in a tent and an air mattress. But there is running water out here. Though it's with 105 guys, it's a little testy. So I did. I hit the pinnacle as a player, but I'm in a new career now. And my goal is to be an offensive line coach. I'm an analyst now, and I work with Dave Christensen, but there's no secrets on our staff that my goal is to be an offensive line coach, and my goal is to be one of the best I can possibly be. And I've said before that there are great offensive line coaches who have great coaches are usually a team can go out there and play, and coaches that know offensive line play can look at an offensive line, that guy, those teams coached by so-and-so, without even knowing who the coach is because of the style of play and how the guys react. And that's what I want to be. I want to be a guy, when I put 5 guys on the field, you don't know who the line coach is, but one of my mentor coaches will say, that's Kevin Mawae's offensive line. I can tell by the way his guys, his technique. I can tell by the way they play. That's what my goal is. And you know what? And I'm on another journey now.
I love that. Well, thank you for taking some time on your journey here in Camp T. Are you going to jump off the rock, Coach?
Sometime, eventually. Like I said, I can't go down there by myself. If I get stuck in the roots, I'll be gone. Somebody's got to come and fish me out.
Get Mark Brand on that one.
I will. Mark's a little slight in the body. I need to get somebody got some muscle about him.
Copy that.
So, but yes, I will. I'm going to take a hike in there and go jump in the water, and you got to enjoy it. You're out in the beautiful nature and climb the mountain and do whatever.
I love it. Well, thank you for the time.
Hey, thanks
Best
for
of luck
having me.
this
I appreciate
season.
you, man.
All right,
Thanks.
that's Kevin Mawae. All right, joined by linebacker Darien Butler, second year starting. Talked to the coaching staff. They're like, it's your defense. And I know there's a lot of talented players on the defense, but I want to rewind the clock a little bit. Okay. What made you make the decision to leave Los Angeles and come to Arizona State?
Well, so with me, my recruiting situation was I didn't have a healthy recruiting situation coming out of high school. A lot of LA schools, nobody really recruited me. UCLA, ASU, those schools didn't recruit me. So I started getting offers from Mountain West, like Hawaii. Then I got New Mexico. So I was blessed, with AP getting his job here. Like there's a shock because I know me and AP always got along. So it was like he contacted me ASAP as soon as he got the job. He let me know about with the scholarship stuff. He let me know all of that stuff. So I just felt like this was the best place for me. The coaching staff to the players here, coming on that visit. It was just the place is like it's just like back home. It's not too far. It's a lot like the city. So it was really nice. So
I love that. Well, I know they're really excited to obviously have you here, but I think when we talk about young players playing, it's easy to say a freshman play at wide out or maybe DB. To play like inside linebacker for you a year ago and go through that schedule, have a team have a chance to win the South. What was that like for you when you look back on your freshman year physically and mentally going through what you went through?
It was actually amazing, to be honest. I love doing what we did here. I feel like I ain't gonna say nothing crazy. It's just I just feel like doing what I did. I expected, me and my family, we talked about it. I expected to do what I did when I came here. It was actually the plan. That's something I did. A lot of people didn't expect that. Coming in with guys like Merlin, coming in with guys like a lot of other freshmen, Jermaine, Ashari, those guys, we all talked before, we all made that decision, like, we could do something special here. So, man, this is the longest, like, starting with fall camp, like, last year. It was, like, the longest I've ever played football. Like, wow. I've never played football this many weeks, because during fall camp, like, in high school, we're already getting into the season. So, I had to get ready mentally and physically. AP, Coach Gonzalez, Coach Herm Edwards, they're like, yo, you got to get ready. Like, this is something different. Like, we putting you out here. You have to be ready. You have to know what you have to be accountable. You have to know what you're doing when we put you out there, So physically it's one thing to have to play that position, but mentally, like, how did you make sure that you could handle the rugged, it's not, as you reference, high school football in 10 weeks or 12 weeks. Like, you're rolling. It's a long time. It really is. A long season.
How did you handle that and prepare for it last year? And how different was your preparation this year to get ready for a game which is only a few weeks away?
Well, like, last year being my first time, I feel like, AP was helping me mostly a lot. Well, he was helping me a lot, like, come and film, watch film here and there, you should be doing this, you should take care of your body here. It's a lot of physical stuff that I had to make sure I was doing to make sure I was ready, September 1st last season. So when I came in this year, I knew what to expect. So I feel like coming into this season, I was 10 times ahead of where I was last year, getting ready, being conditioned with my strength in the weight room. Like, I felt like I was ready. I felt like this season I approached it way better.
And you grew up or lived in Los Angeles.
Right.
We're in Camp T. It's safe to say it's a little different out here.
Correct.
Where you don't have cell service. There's no cable televisions, none of the amenities that at least Los Angeles is known for in the Hollywood terms.
Right.
What's it been like for you? First time in this area playing football, I'd imagine, in your entire life.
Yeah, being from the city, you don't see a lot of stuff like this at all. So it was really something I was really looking forward to. A lot of guys are in my ear like, oh, it's going to be like this, it's going to be like that. But it wasn't nothing. It wasn't nothing that I think I couldn't handle. I feel like I was going to be able to handle it, which I am. I think I'm doing pretty well with it. Being from the city, I really don't like bugs. I don't like roaches. I don't like spiders. I don't like those type of things that fly. So it was like, that's one thing I do got to get ready for. So when I sleep, I'm in a long sleeve, sweatpants. I'm making sure my body don't touch just anything, It's that tight.
I love that. All right, before we let you go, you guys play a very exciting defense. Obviously, a lot of young guys. You referenced some of the younger ones. Obviously, Merlin, Ashari, Jermaine Lole, etc. What makes this scheme for you work so well?
With my game and my play style, I like pressure. I like applying pressure. And I feel like Coach G really does a great job with putting pressure on teams. And that's something that stuck out to me when I took my visit here and I talked to Coach G. And it's like, how are y'all running your defense? And he broke it down to me like, that is something I really love doing. Like, I love to blitz as a linebacker, whether I'm inside or out. I like applying pressure on people. I like making people think. I like to make people, guess. Like, I like to make people, I just like to get in their head. I like to get in people's head a lot. So
I love that. Well, I can't wait. We're going to be there at the Pac-12 Networks Week 1 watching you get in people's heads, man.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate the time. Wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you.
Fall.
Appreciate you.
All right, man. There it is. Darien Butler, Yogi Roth. We'll be right back. All right, here we are, Camp T with quarterback Jayden Daniels. You've heard about Camp T. Did you know what it would be like? Like, did you have any idea of what this beautiful rustic setting in the forest was going to be before you got here?
Not at all. I mean, I was just as surprised as any other freshman coming in. We heard about it, heard all the stories, but didn't know it was anything like this.
So you're avoiding defensive linemen. Have you had to avoid bugs, flies, mosquitoes?
No, hopefully not. I mean, I haven't ran into that problem yet. There's a couple bugs around, but I mean, it's just we're in the nature, so you got to get used to it.
I like it. Smart man. Coming up here, do you feel like the lore of the program and the history of Mount Cush and Tillman Rock? Do you feel that? How are your thoughts around everything?
It's different. I mean, yesterday we climbed up Mount Cush up there, just seeing the scenery. Really just looking at it from a different angle, just looking at the view, looking down, seeing just the history behind everything. Going up there, seeing what everybody, each team left behind on Mount Cush. There's shirts up there. People were writing their names down. So, I mean, just looking at the legacy and the history behind it.
Do you get a chance? Because, you're in it, right? You came in mid-year.
Right.
Spring game was like a month after you got there. It's 6 weeks after you got there. I think it was like February 27th or something like that. We covered that one on the Pac-12 Networks. And you've been preparing for this. Have you had a moment to step back and be like, it's pretty cool. Like, I'm playing for Arizona State. I got a chance to start a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, kind of when we had a little downtime, just going out there, just throwing throwing the ball. I mean, we didn't really have practice, so just looking back at it, it's a very cool experience moment. I mean, not a lot of people get to play college football at a Power 5 school, so just looking at it, had the chance to be a starting quarterback, so looking at it just thankful for the opportunity I have.
So how have you dealt with the opportunity, right? Like, no, nobody's hiding the fact that there were 3 freshmen that came in at the same position mid-year, and an upperclassman. Like, how do you approach that? Like, what'd you do?
I mean, talked about it with my parents. We knew that I had the opportunity to play. So just coming in, just looking at the opportunity and just embracing it. That's the main thing. You can't get too low. You can't get too high because you got to stay mid-head, mid-level. Just going at it, just being yourself. That's the main thing. That's what Coach Herman preach here, just be yourself.
And have you been able to do that even though the speed of the game is totally different and here you are playing Power 5 a year after playing high school football?
Yeah, I mean, early on in spring, still trying to figure out the whole college situation, college football. But now I feel like we're going out there and just could be yourself. As the end of spring went on, started becoming myself again. Now fall camp, being more comfortable throughout the whole practices. Just going out there, just having fun, having a blast.
Is it tempo-wise what you'd expect? Like, clearly it's faster than high school football, but you hear that a lot from freshman quarterbacks of having to process information. How have you dealt with processing that in real time? And if you've done it well, how have you gotten to the place where you can do it well?
I mean, just really asking questions. Coach Likens, we have Coach Berkovici now. So they do a very good job just helping us slow it down and breaking it down to us where we could understand it in a way. Still be complex, though, with it. But other than that, just going out there asking questions and just watching film, that's another big thing. Just watching film and correcting your mistakes.
I saw you today throw a seam route for a touchdown in the red zone, and you gave a little fist pump. And I was talking to somebody on the sideline. They said, that might be the most emotion that Jayden has showed. Is that true? And what's it like? I mean, you may be starting at quarterback in a Power 5 school regarding dealing with the emotions of that and playing at a high level.
I mean, I go out there, have fun, always talking to the guys. I didn't know it was the last play. I thought we had another play. So if I knew it was like the last play, I would have ran over, hyped up with my teammates. But other than that, I mean, just going out there having fun. The emotions is going to be everywhere. First college game, if I was to start, it might be high, but you got to stay low. Our mid can't get too high, can't get too low. So the emotions going to be everywhere. But I feel like my family and the coaching staff do a good job of keeping everybody's emotions not too high, not too low.
How much fun are you having?
I'm having a lot of fun out here.
What's the most fun for you playing this position here in Camp T with a starting job potentially on the line?
Just going out there and controlling what you can control. Going out there, just executing plays, getting the ball to the playmakers, and then seeing at the end, like the 2-minute situation, we won 2 of them. So just going out there, just competing against the defense. That's the most fun part I had.
All right, so before we let you go, you got a senior offensive line in front of you. You got some talented wide receivers. You got one of the best backs, if not the best back in the Pac-12, let alone the country. When you walk into that huddle and you get to look around, take us inside your mind, looking at all the talent and veteran leadership that potentially is there.
I mean, just going in, I know that stepping in that huddle that they're looking to me, I'm looking to them too. Just going out there communicating, really. The O-line know everything. They do a good job. It does a great job too. Receivers do too. So just going out there, having fun and getting them the ball and not having to do too much on my plate. Just trusting the O-line for them to protect me, and then getting the ball like to Brandon Aiyuk, Frank Darby, Kyle Williams, just getting them the ball.
Game 1 is a few weeks away. What are you most looking forward to and potentially your first snap as a college quarterback?
Just going out there, just walking through the Tempe tunnel, just seeing like the first college game atmosphere. I mean, I got a little glimpse of it in the spring game, but I know it's going to be totally different once August 29th comes.
I love it, man. Since we met at Elite 11, one of my favorite guys, all-time Jayden Daniels. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
All right, that's Jayden Daniels. Here we are on the How Great Is Ball training camp tour. We'll be right back. Oh, I love it. All right, joined by wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk. I remember when you burst onto the scene a year ago. I remember watching your tape coming out of JC. But if we took revisionist history all the way back, when you were coming out of high school, what was the vision for you as a football player?
Coming out of high school, it was pretty cloudy. I didn't know really what I really wanted to do. Being where I'm from, not a lot of guys get recruited to play at Division I level, so that was never really – it was a thought, but it wasn't – it seemed like it was just so far-fetched. But I had NA high schools coming at me, and I thought that was like a major thing to do. And then it kind of just fell through, and I just decided to follow my cousin in his steps and go to the junior college that he went to. And then just got better and better and just really found out how good I really was at football.
Wow. And then even coming here, I don't think everybody knows. Like, it wasn't like it was totally just the blueprint's laid out and you're going to find your way to Arizona State. How did you get here? And the timing of it, I think, was a little unique compared to most signees.
Yeah, it was a really odd process. Early on, Coach Likens was recruiting me and Coach Napier was recruiting me. And then Coach Graham wasn't sure if he wanted to pull the plug and offer me. So it was contact every once in a while, but it would just always fall through. And then Coach Likens ended up telling me that they weren't going to take a JUCO receiver. So I started looking at other directions. And then a couple months later, Coach Slocum actually came, and he wanted me as a punt returner. And then they had extra spots, and they was putting me at DB and stuff like that. So I ended up committing. Basically, they offered me like the Sunday before the signing period on Wednesday, and I ended up committing the next day. And yeah, it was crazy, but great decision. And I never took a visit. I ended up taking my visit after signing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, and here we are at Camp T, as you can kind of hear the sounds of camp in the background. When you think back on that time, what were you going to do if you didn't get that offer to Arizona State?
Well, I wanted to commit to Colorado State actually, and they didn't. They ended up not giving me my papers. They didn't want to. They didn't think I was going to make it academically, so they pulled the plug as well. So I was really stuck, and it was crazy how everything fell into place.
Okay, so now you're here academically, obviously. What are you studying, and how close are you to graduation?
Business communication. I graduate in December.
How satisfying is that?
It's great opportunity to play football and get my education for free.
Okay, so the other thing you got to do, kind of for free, was watch N'Keal Harry play wide receiver. What tools did you learn from the first-round draft pick to allow yourself to elevate last year and now be the dude this year?
One of the things before the Fresno game, I talked to N'Keal a lot, and the main thing he told me was just confidence. Every time he went on the field, he told me he really believed that he was the best player on the field, and when he went out there, he believed he could make every single play, and he was just confident all the time. And we're up at this level for a reason. You know you can play. He just told me don't worry about anything. You know you can play at this level, and you know you can play at a high level, so just be you and just play football. I think that was the main thing I took from him.
Yeah, well, good luck this season. You got a great unit, and can't wait to watch you play and become a household name, I believe, at the wide receiver position in this conference. Heck of a day, Joe. Heard from a Hall of Famer, a coach who was referenced 3 times during Hall of Fame speeches, and some players that have ceilings that I think are limitless within this program. Biggest takeaway from Arizona State and being at Camp T for the day?
I know that we were able to see spring practice, and we called their spring game, and Jayden Daniels was impressive then. I just think he has continued that. When you sit down and talk to him and you're able to have a conversation with him, he's just a mature young man. And I love that, he has an ability to come in here and potentially be a starter from day one. And Arizona State has never had a true freshman starting quarterback week 1. He has that opportunity potentially in front of him. Herm Edwards, every time you get to talk to Herm, it's a great day. He's a lot like you, Yogi. I don't know if Herm's ever had a bad day in his life as well. It's just there's a lot of positivity around this program right now, and there's a good reason for it.
Yeah, I think I come away from the program echoing all of your sentiments that you just said. But I think Benjamin can get lost a little bit in the shuffle because there's so much discussion around who's the quarterback. There'll be more discussion on this O-line. And you think about those things on offense. They lost 2 of the most productive players in the history of this program, at least recent history, in Manny and N'Keal, like we talked about in the open. But seniors on the offensive line, 4 of the 5 are fifth-year seniors. Even though there's not a lot of playing experience, they're vets. Running back, as good as anybody in pass protection. And, of course, running the football 300 carries a year ago, one of the top rushers in America. Receivers, they've got depth there. I think Jayden Daniels is going to have an opportunity to do what we've seen from guys like Jalen Hurts. Tua didn't play a ton as a freshman, but he played well when he did. Even Trevor Lawrence, in terms of just having answers at other places, and you don't have to carry the whole thing. So I can't wait to watch it. We'll be there. Week 1, a Thursday night on the Pac-12 Networks. You're on the call. I'll be there for the pre- and post-game, and it's going to be a fun year because this is a team that This program is ascending. Like everybody said, I think forever. This is one of those places that all of a sudden can catch fire. I think they've begun to do that.
And we saw so many close games last year. I anticipate that again this year, if not having maybe a few more easier victories in the depth that they have, the personalities that they have, the coaching staff that they've built, and the kids that they've brought into this program. I think it's going to be a positive year for them.
Totally agree. Big thanks to Arizona State staff, first class all the way on this How Great Is Ball training camp tour. And if you want more college football, Jill, you already subscribe to it. And if you don't, you definitely should. Just go to yogiroth.com, and I've got the How Great Is Ball newsletter. Every week during the season, give you insights from around the country in college football, of course, within the Pac-12 conference, and around the humans that play this game as we take the helmets off of them within this podcast. So check that out if you want it in your inbox. If not, no big deal. And hopefully you can subscribe, rate, or review this podcast. It always helps. And the How Great Is Ball training camp tour, Jill, we're rolling. We got to keep this thing moving. Pack it up.
Keep it going. We got to get you to the airport.
Yeah, that's right. All right, we're out of here. Peace.